Okay, all done.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. And Shiraz bhai, સારું મારો મ્યુટ હોવાનો ફાયદો ઉપાડ્યો. મારા મને ખબર ને શું પહેરાયું, મારા વાર ને પહેરાયું ને મારા બર્થડે ને પહેરાયું ને. And thank you, Shiraz bhai, for all your well wishes for this
તમારા
very
વાળ બહુ કુલ લાગે છે આજે, હેરસ્ટાઈલ કુલ છે તમારી.
maybe because the environment has changed. Shukar Alhamdulillah, Shukar Mola. Thank you all for joining. And as always, happy to be on this line with the friends and the family. And thank you, Farida Ben, for inviting and giving Nachis and Garib an opportunity to speak to all the friends and the Mominin on this line.
Thank you so much for joining us.
As
Is Khaya going to be a co-host? Shall I co-host him?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
sure.
As you can see, we are on the third part on the subject parables and allegories, unveiling the Batini Tawilat of various parable of the wise Quran. As you noticed in last two sessions, that we had unveiled many great allegories in the Quran. None of those were new to us, but the understanding of it was definitely new. Definitely new. As there are translations of the Quran, sometimes there are good translation, sometimes there are not so good translation. Just like that, every person who reads the Quran has some kind of understanding of Quran. There are understanding of Quran through the books, through what we have heard from others. And then there are understanding of Quran, what we have understood from the Imam Zaman, Imams from the past, Hujjatan from the past, Dayan from the past, and then Arifin of the past and present. The beauty about the current and present Tawil is that we are able to understand the example in our current time. Today we are upon one such ayat which requires a Tawil and understanding in our current time. In our current time. And you will see, if there is a Tawil which was given, let's say, 1400 years ago, compared to there was the Tawil and understanding given 1000 years ago, 600 years ago. Even if we have done some of this Tawilat 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, as the time changes, as our knowledge base changes, as our understanding of our tariqa changes, it gives us different understanding of very same ayat which we may have followed before by other understanding. This one ayat in front of you now will give us that great understanding how it was understood 1400 years ago, 1000 years ago, even 600 years ago, even within our lifetime, 50, 60, 100 years ago. Inshallah, with your prayers, with Imam's mercy, and let's ask Mullah to help us with his nur and his light, so we may be able to understand this ayat, which we have heard thousands of times, with the current and correct interpretation. Nur Maulana Shah Karim Al-Saini Hazir Imam, Ya Maulay Mehrban, Ya Maulay Mehrban, मदद फरमा. या मौला, अपने नूर से, अपने नूर की रोशनी से, अपने पाक इमामत के वास्ते से, अपनी रहमत के तफस्सुल से, या मौला हम गरीबों की मदद फरमा. या मौला मेहरबान, तो हमारे इस इल्मी काम पर अपने नूर से रोशनी इनायत फरमा, ताकि हम उसको अच्छी तरह से देखकर, पढ़कर, सुनकर, समझकर इसके ऊपर चल सके. या मौला मेहरबान, तेरी रहमत के सहारे से, तेरे ही दोरवणी के आसरे पर और तेरी शफकत, खानावदान और रहमत के साये में हम ये नाचीज और गरीब कोशिश करते हैं, वरना हम अपने आप को जानते हैं मौला, हमारी गुर्बत का, हमारी लाइल्मी का, हमारी कोताहियों का, हमारी शॉर्टकमिंग्स का हमें अच्छी तरह से अंदाजा है. या मौला मेहरबान, मदद, तौफीक, ताईद, हिम्मत व यारी मौला. तौफीक, ताईद, हिम्मत व यारी मौला. Once again, welcome friends. Chapter 3, Parable 4. The example of the Nur in the beginning of this ayat is taken from Surah Nur, Surah number 24, Ayat Misbah, ayat number 35, starts by saying that Allah is the Nur of the heaven and the earth. And the example of his Nur is like a lamp in the niche. The example of this light is like there is a niche and in it a lamp. The lamp inside a glass like a glittering star, fuel from a blessed olive tree oil, which is from neither east nor the west. I would like you to pay attention to this. Allah says, my light, my nur, is of the heavens and the earth. If we take this example, then Allah's light is from the top to the bottom, from the sky to the earth, from the heaven to the zameen, and then everything in between. Think about this with me. Let's think about this together. If Allah's Noor encompasses, surrounds, completely immerses from the heavens to the earth, from the top to the bottom, would there anything ever without the light? Let's think together, okay? So we can come to the conclusion. Number one, this cannot be the physical heaven, the sky, and physical earth, the zameen. Why not? Because if that was the case, there never be night, darkness on this earth. Because His Noor is light, and His light would always shine, and always shine. And then there cannot be dark or night on this earth. But we see that's not the case. Second proof that this heaven and the earth mentioned at the beginning of this ayat is not this physical heaven nor this physical earth. Second example, proof. If Allah's Noor has encompassed anything and everything between the heaven and the earth, then animal, all the humans, plants, minerals, and everything in between the heaven and earth would have the Noor of Allah. But we can see that's not the case. Third proof from the Quran itself. Surah Al-Tareem, ayat number 66, Surah number 66, ayat number 8. You can see the Mu'mineen and Mu'mineen only are requesting Allah to safeguard their Noor and complete their Noor for them. Only Mu'mineen, not others, not animals, not planet, none other except Mu'mineen are asking Allah to protect and complete their Noor. If this Noor was the Noor of the heaven and the earth and everything in between, we would not have to ask for anything. Number 4, proof that that's not the case. Then what would be the difference between human and Mu'mineen? Between the common and Mu'mineen? Between the Kafirin and Muttaqeen? What would be the difference? We all will have equal share of Allah's Noor, as His Noor is of the heaven and the earth and everything in between. Fifth proof. We all be equal in this Noor with the animals. Then we will not be called Ashraful Makhlukat, because they are our partner with the Noor of Ilahi on them as much as on us. I believe there's a good enough proof that this heaven here is also allegorical. And this earth mentioned is also a parable. So what is the ta'wil of the heaven? And what is the ta'wil of the earth? And what is the ta'wil of everything in between? Here, let's unveil the ta'wil of the heaven and the earth and everything in between. Like I said earlier, ta'wila changes according to the time, place. As the time moves forward, Imam guides the Mu'mineen further and further into the batin of the ilm and the batin of the ayat, the signs, the parables of the Quran. Heaven means the higher ranks of Mu'mineen. Higher ranks of the Mu'mineen. Earth means the ta'wil of the earth in the Quran is the lower ranks of the Mu'mineen. And all of the ranks in between. Let's take the most highest rank of Hudud al-Din of the Mu'mineen. And that is Akle Kul, as Imam is Amirul Mu'mineen, and he is the Akle Kul, the most highest heaven, the most highest in the Nur, and at that level, the Nur remains forever at the highest level, at the highest heaven. Compared to Akle Kul, Nafse Kul, in the example of a Natik, a prophet, or Arifin. Compared to Akle Kul, they are on the second level, the bottom level, compared to Akle Kul. So if you only take these two, Akle Kul and Nafse Kul, then Akle Kul will be the example of heaven, and Nafse Kul will be the example of earth, comparable to Akle Kul. Now, if we come all the way down on the absolute earth compared to absolute heaven is Akle Kul, the Imam Zaman, and absolute earth is the Mu'min, a Mustajib. Meaning, the light in its most perfection is in the heaven, in the Imam. And light where it is not complete, not perfected, is on the bottom level, at the level of Mustajib, a Mu'min. And then all the ranks in between. If somebody would like to count with me, I will count from the bottom up, and then we will count from the top to the bottom. From the bottom, Mustajib, number 1, Mazune Medud, number 2, Mazune Mutallak, number 3, Daiye Medud, number 4, Daiye Mutallak, number 5, Hujjat, number 6, Bab or Hujjat Azam, number 7, Imam, number 8, Asaz, number 9, Natik, number 10, Nafsekul, number 11, and Aklekul, number 12, absolute heaven, and Mustajib, absolute earth. 1 through 12. Do you remember that clock that we have talked about so much on this line? That is from 1 through 12. 12 hudud deen. From the top to the bottom, Akle Kul is at the most high, the heaven. All of the other rank compared to the Akle Kul are considered earth. Nafse Kul at number 11, Natik at number 10, Asas at number 9, Imam at number 8, Hujjat Azam Bab at number 7, Hujjat Appeal at number 6, Daya Mutalak at number 5, Daya Medud at number 4, Mazun Mutalak at number 3, Mazun Medud at number 2, and Mustajib Momin at number 1. Absolute earth. And that is the Tawil of Ali Allah is the Noor of the heaven and the earth. Regardless of where the Noor of Allah is, it belongs to the Mu'mineen according to their ranks. Now, the example in front of us. The example of this Noor is that it is in a niche. Niche किसको बोलते हैं? Remember, this example was coined 1400 years ago. In the old homes, and you still find some of those homes even now, where we would make a small place in the wall and keep the lantern, the lamp, on the top of that. एक खड्डा करके दीवार के अंदर एक जगह बनाई जाती है जिसके अंदर दिया रखा जाता है ताकि ऊपर से रोशनी आवे. So the first one, the parable is that there is a light and there is a niche. यहाँ पर जो दीवार और ऊपर की जगह है वो ऊपर के दर्जात के लिए समझाया गया है. That there are some solid pillars of the deen. In the example of solid wall, hudud deen, and the lamps, the nur, are kept in them because they are on the high, so they can share their light on the others. लैंप को जमीन पे नहीं रखा जाता है. जमीन पे रखेंगे तो क्या होगा? पांव लगेगा और लैंप उलट जाएगा. आग लगने का खतरा है. तेल उसमें से गिर जाएगा और आग लग जाएंगी. Is everybody with me so far? The example of the niche is given because example of a niche is the example of hudud-e-deen. That Allah keeps His nur in the high. Those who are solid foundation of the religion, like hudud-e-deen, they are the most high. So Allah keeps His light, His lamp, in the higher ranking mu'mineen. So they may give that light to others from the top. What would happen if they keep it on the bottom, on the floor? They would not know what to do with it. And that lamp, which was supposed to give light, may even burn others because they would not know what to do with it, how to safeguard it, and how to utilize it. So we all understand the example of a niche. Second, And in that niche is the lamp. Now there is a lamp. Why example of a lamp? Wouldn't it be good and more visible, more logical, more understandable if Allah would have given his example of his nur by the sun? What is more powerful, lighted, heated than a sun? Why did not
Azizba, you're muted. Azizba, mute થઈ જાય. Unmute. The second one, second device.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, better.
Okay, so I don't know, where was I? So I was giving example of the lamp. Why Allah gave his own example by the lamp? When sun is more bright, more lighted, more powerful, more energetic, more comparable to Allah's nur. But he didn't do that. Why? Have you ever thought about that? Allah gives his nur example by a lamp. You know why? Because you can bring the lamp into your home. You cannot bring the sun into your home, but you can bring the lamp into your home. Number 2 reason. Lamp gives you light when it is dark outside. When the sun is no more shining on the heaven, we get our light, our source from the lamp. Third proof, an example. With the lamp, you can light another lamp. You cannot do that with the sun, can you? Number 4, lamp, you choose when to turn on, how high you're going to keep, or how low you want to keep. You want to keep. When you cannot do that with the sun. So lamp is more accessible, more reachable, more close to our home, and more in our control. And beauty of this lamp is that when it is dark, it gives us the light. Meaning, Imam's nur is always shining, but it shines more when it's more dark. When you need it more than ever, Allah's nur, Imam's nur, helps you even more in the time of darkness. How beautiful is that example? Now, the third example in this, that this lamp is in the glass. Why inside the glass? So the unrequired, unwanted, uninvited wind would not come and blow away the light of the lamp. What is the tawil of that? That this glass is the example of hudud deen, especially dayan. Dayan are the one who protects the Noor-e-Imam in the Hujjat, in the Hujjat-e-Azam, in the Bab, the next Imam, by surrounding him to make sure no wind, unrequired wind, unnecessary, unwanted wind, uninvited, false wind. And what is the false wind? The false arguments. The false argument of Kafirin would not blow away the nur which is shining in the Pirs, in the Hujjatan, in the Bab. Because Bab is the one who will be the next Imam after present Imam. And this glass protects that nur. And there are more tawilat into this one. More tawilat into this one. Glass is also our iman over the nur. Our iman protects the nur, the light which Imam has given to us from all sides. So, no false argument, no kafirin can blow away that light which is in the mu'mineen. For that, if you like to look at the Quranic reference, look at Surah Tawbah, Surah number 9, ayat number 32. That there are some who are trying to blow away Allah's light with their mouth's false argument. But Allah would not allow that. He's protecting their light by this glass, by their iman, by the dayan. They are protecting this light. Now the example of the glass is amazing. That this glass is like a glittering star. ये जो ईमान है, ये जो दाई है, उनका इल्म, उनका विजडम, उनकी तावीलात, उनकी समझ, उनके ईमान का नूर ऐसा चमकता है जैसे चमकते हुए सितारे. जिस तरह से आसमान पर सितारे जगमगाते हैं ताकि हम उसको देखें, इस तरह से इन दाइयों का और उन मोमिनों का इल्म चमकेगा जैसा आसमान पर सितारे चमकते हैं, ताकि हमारी तवज्जो उनके इल्म, उनकी हिकमत, उनकी तावीलात और उनके नूर की तरफ जाए. And that is the example of the da'is and their ilm in the way they speak, in the way they give knowledge and the wisdom and tawilat, so others could get attracted to this shiny, glittering stars. Now, this lamp is fueled by the blessed tree. And you notice I left the olive out of it for a second. By the blessed tree. We have covered the tree in our previous session. What was the example of the tree? The example of the tree is the Imam. And what was the example of the tree? Isme Azam, the pure word. So where are this Dayan receiving their oil from? Oil, their power from? Oil, their ilm from? Oil, their wisdom from? Where are they getting their courage and strength from? They are receiving their strength and courage, fuel from the Imam-e-Zaman, number one, in the example of the tree. Number two, from the other things in the tree, like a branches, from the other hudud-e-din. Number three, from the fruit of it, from the ilm of the Imam. Number four, from the nur of the Imam, like a seed in the fruit, they receive their fuel, which helps them continue to light, to shine, to give the ilm to the others, to give the wisdom to the others, give the tawilat to the others, because it is Imam's wish that he gives this nur, and then he fuels that nur by his amr into those hudud-e-din, those dayan, who then in return give that to the Jamaat. Now let's take the word olive. Olive is in the pure form is called virgin olive oil, because olive is nothing but a pure oil. So olive is the example, a parable of the purity. So when you hear the word olive, think purification or the purity. So the tree is the example of the Imam, olive tree, example of the pure nur, hidayat, ilm, and the amr of the Imam. So where are they getting their fuel from? From the pure tree, from the olive tree, from the Imam's nur, Imam's hidayat, Imam's ilm, and Imam's amr, and on top of all of that, Imam's Isme Azam. And then this tree, the Imam, you cannot keep them or limit him that Imam is only mine. Imam is only of the East. Imam is only of the West. When the Imam is Imamullah for all, you cannot limit him. He is the Imam for the all. So says, this olive tree is neither of the East and West. There is a second tawil to that. As you can say, East is the most far compared to West, and the West is more far compared to the East. East is the most highest rank close to the Imam. West is the most far left rank away from the Imam. But the Imam, his fruit, his Khanavadan, his blessing, his light, his nur, his ilm is for everyone between the far east, not the location, okay? Far east, the highest hudud, to the far west, the lower hudud. Is for every one of them. So you cannot say Imam is only in the Pir. Imam is only in the thigh. No, Imam and his Nur is from the as far high on the Hudud-e-Din as far as the left, the west, the lower rank. Remember, his Nur is from the heaven to the earth, the highest rank to the lowest rank. Let's come to our next slide. The complete interpretation and understanding of Ayat Nur. Today, we only took one single line, only one line from this ayat. If you would like to hear the complete interpretation of this ayat, few years back on this very channel, Nachiz and Garib had given the complete understanding of Ayat Nur. And you can see on the bottom of your screen, there is a link. There is a link here, which will take you to that complete lecture. And someone will share with you in a minute or two, where you can hear the complete understanding of this surah. Here we are only covering one single line. The key word in this surah, in this ayat, the key phrase, the key principle of this ayat is Nurun ala Nur. Even though this is not our subject today, and you can listen to this recording, I could not just bypass the key principle in this ayat, which is Nuran ala Nur. The interpretation and the understanding of Nuran ala Nur in our tariqah, in Ismaili tariqah, is that there is the Nur Imam, after Nur Imam. There always be an Imam, and there always be Imam after Imam. Father Imam, son Imam. Son Imam, father Imam. Imam after Imam, after Imam, after Imam, after Imam. And there always be Imam. Always be Imam. There was never a time when this principle of Nuran ala Nur broken or did not exist. As that is the principle, the key principle of this ayat, and the key principle in the Quran, and the key principle of the Imamat, and the key principle of our tariqah. Let's go to some more detailed understanding, and we will use or paraphrase some of the word of the Imam-e-Zaman in the form of question. Why teaching in the form of question? Because question helps us open our heart and our mind. The lesson which is given in the form of questions are much more understandable, easier studable, and last long time in our mind. So question, Quran, is the Quran a book of history or book of knowledge or book of guidance to the mu'mineen? सवाल इसलिए पूछा जाता है ताकि उसका जवाब हमारे लिए एक मुस्तकिल इल्म का बाइस बने। पहला सवाल यह है कि कुरान क्या है? क्या वो एक हिस्ट्री की बुक है या वो इल्म की किताब है या वो मोमिनों की दुर्वणी के लिए हमें दिया गया है? ये सवाल है। अक्लमंद शख्स का ये जवाब होगा कि कुरान इल्म और दुर्वणी के लिए खुदावन ताला ने मोमिनों के लिए नाजिल फरमाया. So the wise will reply, the Quran is definitely, certainly, is a book of ilm and wisdom for the guidance to the mu'mineen. Quran is not guide for all, because if they are not purified, if they are not mu'mineen, then they will not be able to understand the Quran, and therefore Quran will not be able to guide them. What is my proof of that? I cannot say something and not give you a logical proof or answer. You can see there are Muslims today who take the Quran and call each other kafir. They kill each other using Quran. They fight each other using Quranic ayat, meaning Quran is not guiding them. But those who are guided by the Quran, they never call each other kafir. They never will fight with each other, nor they will ever kill each other. Which tariqah in Islam has a living Quran, who has been guided by the Quran, who do not call other kafir, who do not kill others, nor they fight with others? Which one tariqah in Islam is that? That Quran is for the mu'mineen. We all understood what I just said. Question further. First, let's talk about this 2 line of Farman. We see Imam's many Faramin in which Imam asks about some words of Quran. In example, what is the meaning of Kokab or Kullu or Sirat al-Mustaqim? Then the question is Imam asking the Jamaat for the translation of these words? What do you think? When Imam asks those questions, and we have heard of this Faramin, is Imam looking for a translation of Kokab or Kullu or Sirat al-Mustaqim? And when we read this Faramin, how do we understand Imam asking about these words? What do you think Imam is doing by asking this kind of question? Again, those who are wise, those who have ilm, those who have understanding of the Farman, they will tell you Imam is not looking for translation. Matter of fact, Imam wants you to pay attention to his Farman. Imam is drawing our attention toward the ayat, toward the Quran, and the tawil of those words. Now let me ask you a question again. How many times, be honest to yourself, you don't have to answer to me. How many times you have listened to this Farman and have gone back to find those words in the Quran? If your answer is never, then we need to rethink. What kind of mu'mineen are we that we listen to the Farman from this air and out from this other air? You mean we have never followed Imam's Farman? When Imam asks this question, we never look up those words in Quran? I mean, why would we not do that? That is the question. And what did I say about the question? Questions are there so it may jolt us and is easier for us to learn by asking some good questions, some tough questions. And here is not for the purpose of criticism, but for the purpose to awaken us. यहाँ पर इसका मतलब हमको जगाना था ताकि हम उठ जावे और देखें कि हमको क्या करना है। तो जब ये फरमान हुआ कि बताओ कोकब का क्या मतलब है, कुल्लू का क्या मतलब है, सिराज मुस्तकीम का क्या मतलब है, तो यहाँ पर इमाम ने हमारी तवज्जो कुरान की तरफ और इन अल्फाजों की तरफ करवाई और उन आयतों की तरफ करवाई जिसमें ये अल्फाज इस्तेमाल हुए हैं। इस आयत के अंदर जो आज हम पढ़ रहे हैं उसके अंदर वर्ड कोकब इस्तेमाल हुआ है, कोकब दूरी इस्तेमाल हुआ है। तो क्या हमने इस फरमान को मानते हुए पढ़ते वक्त कुरान के अंदर जाकर देखा कि कोकब कहाँ लिखा हुआ है, कुरान में कौन सी आयत में लिखा हुआ है और उस आयत का क्या मतलब है, उस आयत के अंदर क्या तालीम है और क्या हो रहा है इसके अंदर? Today we will take such an ayat from the Surah Nur and see when Imam says what is written is for all but the tawil is for the Jamaat. Let's try to understand this Farman with this ayat from the Holy Quran. And that ayat is what? Ayat Nur, the one line which we are talking about today. This Farman we have read many times. I just wanted to present the essence of this Farman. Esoteric means that what is written is there, but its meaning is not there to everyone. It is there to those who are part of our Jamaat. Esoteric meaning, batin, tawil. तावील कहने का मतलब ये है कि जो लिखा हुआ है वो तो सब पढ़ते हैं, लेकिन उसके जो मानी है, उसके अंदर जो एसेंस है, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ हमारी जमात के लिए है। ये है मतलब कि हमारा मजहब एसोटेरिक तरीका है, ये मतलब होता है इसका। यानी कि जब जब आप इमाम के फरमान को पढ़ें, जब जब इमाम ऐसे सवाल पूछे, तो हमें उसकी मानी को समझने के लिए आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। Here is the complete surah, but we only took one line out of the surah. The complete surah is Allah is the light of the heaven and the earth. His light is like a niche in which there is a lamp. The lamp is in a crystal glass. The crystal is like a shining star lit from the oil of the blessed olive tree, neither to the east nor to the west, whose oil would light glow even without being touched by the fire. Nuran ala nur, light upon light, nur after nur. Allah guides whoever He will to His nur, to His light, and Allah sets forth parables, examples, allegories for the humanity. For Allah has complete knowledge of all things. That's the complete ayat. We have only taken one single line out of it. What is in front of you, that's what we took today. And we did cover the first line, Allahu nuru sama wa ati wal ars. Allahu nuru sama wa al ars. Allah is the light of the heaven and the earth. Here are some of the tawilat given 1,000 years ago of this ayat. We understood the tawil from today's time. Let's see what our Peer have written 1,000 years ago and see how close we come to the tawil of today. Subhanallah. Here Peer is not only giving the tawil of the olive tree, but also of the fig, zaitun, and comparing both of them together. And I will share this screen, the PDF with all to read and to keep. So you may find the blessing, the tawil, the understanding from this tawil of Pir Sahib. I'm only going to cover the olive oil, which is our subject today. The olive symbolizes the universal soul, compared to the zaitun symbolize the universal intellect, who accept the favors of the intellect without any intermediary, meaning the universal soul in the example of zaitun comes directly for the universal intellect, the imam, without any interpretation. If the olive oil is the example of the hudud al-din, then they receive the nur, the guidance, the ilm, the tawil, etc. from the Imam Zaman directly. If they are part of the Hujjatan, Peer. And you remember how our Peer have received the tawilat when they would be far away from Imam, thousands and thousands of miles away from Imam, without any transportation, without any communication. They will receive direct ilm from the Imam, as there was no wall, barrier, intermediary between the Peer and the Imam. He is compared to the olive because of the fact that some of it, such as its oil and husk, is editable, and some of it, such as its seeds and sediment, must be thrown away. If you know the olive, what you do, you take the oil from it, and what do you throw away? The top part and the seed inside you throw away. That is the example of the ilm coming from the Imam to the Hujjat. He takes the pure ilm from the Imam and gives you the oil, the pure ilm of the Imam. He take all the other part and he does not give you that, because that will give us badhazmi, digestion में मसला हो जाएगा. तो पीर क्या करता है, एक माँ की तरह वो चावल को खाकर इमाम से इल्म को लेकर उसको नरम खिचड़ी बनाकर हमको देता है. That is, pure souls obey what the intellects tell them, such as souls are approved of the acceptance by the intellect, as the oil and the husk of the olive are editable. यहाँ पर बहुत मुश्किल ज़बान है. You see, the explanation 1,000 years ago was much harder to digest for our examples today. Therefore, it is necessary that we have the Arif Kamalin in our respected time who could give us the example that we can understand in our culture, our time, in our environment. Further, Pirsa says, impure and will souls who do not obey what the intellect tells them and do not abstain from what is prohibited and do not accept its favor and follows their own desire are driven out, cast away, and despaired like the seed and sediment of the olive. It is because of this that some souls merit rewards and others deserve punishment. जो भी अक्ले कुल से डायरेक्ट प्योर इल्म को हासिल करता है, whomever receives the pure ilm and the tawil from the akle kul through the imam, through the peer, through the dais, will find their nur and their reward. Whomever will go after the ill concept, ill ilm, or go to those who are not the follower of the imam, who does not have the pure ilm, the nur, and the tawil of the imam, be careful. Warning. You will find nothing but the ill concept and chilke khane ke barabar hoga. Who eats the top of the banana? You're supposed to eat the mass. Who is the top of the mango? You're supposed to eat the inside the mask. So this was the tawil given by P. Nasir Khosrow. Now, in today's time, in our current time, there are many tawilat are hidden in this verse. We are still talking about 24-35. Kitab-e Hadith Masnavi by Badi Zaman Fazl for Professor of Tehran University write about this. Indeed, the Quran has an apparent zahir and a hidden batin aspect. And the hidden also has a hidden up to 7 hidden aspects batin. क्या फरमाया कि तावीलात बहुत ज्यादा है और तावीलात के ऊपर और तावीलात के अंदर तावीलात है, एक नहीं, दो नहीं, ऐसी 7 तावीलात एक ऊपर नीचे है. So there is one other tawil of the very same ayat line, which we heard 1,000 years ago. Arif of our time writes, if the tawil of the lamp verse, Aya Nur, is Hudud al-Din, then their spiritual and intellectual forms are encompassed in the Imam Mubin, Imam Zaman. You see, it will be easier tawil because it's easier to understand in our time, current time. In this magnificent and wisdom-filled example, there is also an allusion to the unveiling of the secrets of the non-spatial world, in the sense that the blessed olive tree, whose oil gives light, is neither of the east nor of the west. That is, it is not in the spatial world but in the non-special world. यानी कि वो यहाँ पर बात नहीं हो रही थी जो कौन और मकान, जो जमाने के अंदर है, जो वक्त की कैद में है, मशरिक और मगरिब, उसकी बात नहीं हो रही है। ये आलम बातीन की बात हो रही है जो जमाना और वक्त से बालतर है। मीनिंग आलम दहर की बात हो रही है, आलम शख्सी की बात हो रही है, आलम रूहानियत की बात हो रही है, आलम बातीन की बात हो रही है, आलम शख्सी की बात हो रही है। The Arif observes the unveiling of the great secrets when God unfolds and inhalates the universe in the non-special state so that they know the extremely great secret of non-special world. जब अल्लाह इसकी तावीलात को खुल कर बयान करता है आलम शख्सी के अंदर, तब हमें हमारे आलम शख्सी यानी कि आलम दर के राजों का पता चलता है कि किस तरह से इमाम ना तो मगरिब का है ना मशरिक का है, उसका नूर कहीं कैद नहीं है कि वो यहाँ है वहां है, उसका नूर तो हर जगह पर है और हर चीज को अपने घेरे में लिया हुआ है। इन शॉर्ट, the Mansoor or the symbolized of the symbol of the example of the tree of olive is non-special world in the universal soul. इसका मतलब हुआ कि ये मिसाल जो थी वो यूनिवर्सल सोल की थी, जबकि जैतून की जो मिसाल थी वो अक्ले कुल की मिसाल थी। So let me stop here. There was a lot that we covered, and we didn't even cover the entire ayat. We only covered line or two of this ayat. So let me stop here. Inshallah, if we have a good questions or any comments, please help us so we can understand what are the questions and how can we move forward in this journey. Ji.
Sir, if we're starting the question and answer, then I've typed in the chat that questions can be typed into the chat. But I think you also don't mind taking raised hands if people want to raise their hand. Is that correct?
Okay.
Okay, so then you can anyone can either raise their hand and we can unmute, or we can type the question in.
Right. It would be easier if they raise their hand so we can take one at a time. जी, बहुत सारे सवालात हो सकते हैं इसके अंदर क्योंकि ये बहुत मुश्किल लेसन था, लेकिन इंशाल्लाह आपके लिए इस जमाने के लिहाज से उसको आसान किया गया है. So if you have any comments or questions, just open your heart and ask.
Sir, they're asking for the link to the full lecture. I checked one of the PDFs and I wasn't able to get a hyperlink from that link. So you might want to send that link out so we can post it. And
Yes.
then, okay, so there is a question that's come into the chat. When you were explaining the different levels between heaven and earth, can you give us the English translations, please, of the, I think it's the Hudud-e-Din ranks?
Okay. So when Allah says, I am the Noor of the heaven and the earth, that meaning not the physical heaven, the sky, nor the physical earth, because if that was the case, then the Noor of Allah is always shining. There cannot be ever a night, the darkness on this earth. Because we do have a night and we do have a darkness. that shows that Allah is not speaking of a material, physical sky and the earth, but is talking about that I am the Nur of the ranks, from the highest in the example of heaven to the lowest example of the earth. And then we counted 12 ranks of Hudud-e-Din. Hudud-e-Din, hierarchy of religion, from the top to the bottom. And that was Aklekul on the top and the Mustajib on the bottom. Aklekul is the absolute heaven, and Mustajib, absolute earth. And then everything between this heaven and the earth, everything between Aklekul and the Mustajib. So we will count from the bottom to the top, Mustajib being number 1, which is absolute earth. Mazune Medud, Mazune Mutalak, number 2 and 3. Daye Medud and Daye Mutalak, number 4 and 5. Hujjat and Hujjat-e-Azam, number 6 and number 7. Imam and Asas, number 8 and number 9. Natik being number 10. Then Nafsekul and Aklekul being 11 and the 12. 12 being Aklekul, the absolute heaven. So Allah says, I am the light of the heaven and the earth and everything in between. I am the Nur of Aklekul, and I am the Nur of Mustajib, and I am the Nur of everyone in between. That's what it means. G.
Thank you. There's a couple more questions in the chat. I'll read that out before calling upon the person who has a hand up. So the question is, are there any arifs in the modern world that we would be able to identify?
In the Mazun world?
Modern world, in the modern world.
Modern world. Yes. All right. In every time and age, there was never a time when Imam is present and there is no Arifin. There never was a time like that. From the very beginning, you notice each Natik would have Asas as a Arif Kamil Zaman. Every Asas had Imam as a Arif Kamil Zaman. Every Imam had Hujjatan, Arif Kamil Zaman. Every Hujjat had Dayan. With some count, every Hujjat would have 30 dais and 360 total dais on this earth. So we can say there always been Arifin and then Arif Kamil amongst them, being the most highest Hujjat, the Pir, or the Hujjat-e-Azam, being the Arif Kamil Mukammal. If that is the law and the nature of Ali Allah, then how can we, in our time, where we have an Imam, if we have an Imam, then we must have Arif Kamil. So of course, in our time, there are Arifins, and then there is a Arif Kamil. How do we recognize this Arifin? And then how do we recognize the Arif Kamilin? Attribution of the Arifin would be that they would have great ilm of the Imam and the Batini ilm of the Imam. That's how you will recognize them as Arifin. Compared to that, Arif Kamilin not only would have a great ilm batin, the nur of the Imam, but they also would have given many written format ilm to the Jamaat. Meaning they will leave lot of ilm to the Jamaat. Take the example of Pir Sadruddin, Pir Shams, Pir Hasan Kabiruddin, Pir Nasir Khusro. What have they left for us? Ilm, Kinan, books, guidance. That shows us there are Arif Kamilin. If you wanted to find Arif Kamil, those are the criteria that you can use to find Arif. G.
Thank you. The person who's asking for the translation of the ranks wanted to know the exact translations of words like mustajib and mazun, madud, mazun, mutlaq. So if you want to give those translations there.
Sure. We also have all this written in the written form, and somebody can help you get that, and you can read and you can keep a copy. Mazun, mustajib meaning the mu'min who accepts the ilm by saying, I am nothing, I'm garib, I'm nachiz, and I would like to learn as I don't know anything. I would like to learn the ilm. Any mu'min that says that automatically becomes part of the Hudud-e-Din by putting the first step on the ladder of being mustajib. If you wanted to learn more about this, listen to one of these Garib and Nachi's lecture called Plano Jamaat Khana and the Pillars in Plano Jamaat Khana. And I have explained in great detail in the lecture the pillars of Plano Jamaat Khana. Okay. Mazun, two words. One with izan, one who has permission to speak. In the mazun, there are two kinds of mazun. One who has permission to speak, but no permission to answer your question. Have you not seen those al-wais? They would come to Jamaat Khana, they would deliver the wais, and literally and physically, they will run away from Jamaat Khana as they cannot answer your questions. And you will find some of those al-wais even on these channels where they will come and they will not be able to answer your question because they have limited izn to speak only, and they do not have any other ilm to cover the broader questions. Mazun and Mutalak has little bit more permission to not only speak, but also answer, but in very limited way. Meaning they will answer some question and they will not answer the other question. They will tell you, I will also only answer A, B, C, but if you ask me anything after the C, D, E, F, I will not answer you because they don't have that kind of ilm or the izan. Then comes the da'i and da'iya mutallak. Da'i is what we call today teacher trainers. They trains al-wais. They also have limited ilm, but much more than al-wais. So they are able to train al-wais. And sometimes they can also answer the questions. Then comes da'i mutallak. The word mutallak means complete. Because they are da'i mutallak, they have not only complete ilm, but also some spiritual experiences. That reminds me of one of these Sam Muhammad Shahs, Salawatullah alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam, Farman, where Imam says, who can be a religious teacher? The one who has complete ilm. And then they must have spiritual experiences. And that is called Daye Mutallak. They are the perfect teachers. As not they only have ilm, but they also know of the Batin, and therefore they can answer any and all questions from this side and that side. Then comes the Hujjat. In our Gujarati Khoja Jamaat language, we call it Peer. And you know, there is no wall or veil between the Peer and the Imam. Then amongst the Peer, there are Hujjat-e Azams, or in our time, current time, we call it Bab. Bab literally means gate, door, but in the Hudud-e-Din's language, it means the one who will become the next Imam. So amongst the Imam's children, amongst the other Hudud-e-Din, amongst the other Hujjatan, there will be one amongst them who will be the Hujjat-e-Azam, the Bab, the door, the next Imam. Then number 8, Imam himself. Number 9, Asas, Mawla Ali. Number 10, Prophet Muhammad, the Natik. And then 2 Batini ranks, Nafs-e-Kul, universal soul, Aql-e-Kul, universal intellect. Those are the 12 ranks, Hudud-e-Din. G.
Thank you. I'm going to call upon Gulzar Baya to unmute.
याली मदद सर।
याली मदद।
सर सबको ईद मुबारक। सर मुझे ये पूछना था कि आपने है ना बोला था कि सूरह नूर आयत 35 इमाम ने बोला गोल्डन जुबली में कि उसके थ्रू आप मुझे पहचान सकते। तो अभी जैसा आप ये जो समझाए पूरा, तो इसको कनेक्ट करके एक थोड़ा समझाना सर के मतलब इसमें से हम कैसा इमाम को पहचान सकते, तो कैसा रिलेट करना चाहिए?
खाली एक वर्ड को याद रखें या एक फ्रेज को याद रखें, नूरन अला नूर।
हाँ,
बस इससे आपको इमाम को पहचान सकेंगे। क्योंकि चूंकि हम नूरन अला नूर के प्रिंसिपल को भूल जाते हैं तो हम इमाम को पहचान नहीं पाते हैं। बस ये एक प्रिंसिपल आपके सवाल का जवाब है।
ओके। और सर एक और पूछना था कि जैसे मैं गुजराती में ये आयत पढ़ती हूँ या समझी थी, तो अल्लाह जमीन अने आसमान नो नूर छे। तो जमीन है ना सिंगुलर है और आसमान प्लूरल है। तो जैसा आप हमेशा बोलते कि मिसाल को नहीं पकड़ना, तो इसमें कुछ तावील है कि ये एग्जाम्पल के तरीके से अपने को समझना चाहिए?
नहीं, बिल्कुल तावील है। देखें, सबसे नीचे जमीन कौन सी है? मुस्तजीब। उसके ऊपर आसमान कितना है? एक आसमान माजून, फिर दूसरा माजून मुतल्लक, फिर तीसरा दाई महदूद, चौथा दाई मुतल्लक, फिर हुज्जत, उसके ऊपर बाप, उस पर इमाम, उस पर असर। कितने आसमान है? आसमान पर आसमान, आसमान पर आसमान, आसमान पर आसमान। ये उसकी तावील है।
और एक और छोटी रिक्वेस्ट है सर, वो आप जो गोखले का और कांच का जो समझा है ना, उसको थोड़ा हिंदी में एक बार समझाओ।
जी, गोखले से मुराद ये थी कि जो ऊपर के हुदूद होते हैं ना, जो आला दर्जे के मोमिन होते हैं ना, वो अपने अंदर इमाम का नूर रखते हैं ताकि कोई उसको बुझा ना सके, क्योंकि ऊपर है ना तो पहुंच नहीं सकते लोग। नीचे रखेंगे तो गिरकर टूट जाएगा और आग लग जाएंगी। यानी कि नीचे के दर्जे में अगर इमाम का नूर ऐसा चले तो फिर वो लोग उसको नहीं समझ पाएंगे, उसकी कदरदानी नहीं करेंगे। तो इमाम अपने नूर को बुलंद दर्जात के अंदर रखता है। ये गोखले की मिसाल थी। उसके अंदर जो लैंप था वो इमाम की मिसाल थी, और लैंप के ऊपर जो शीशा था वो दाई की मिसाल थी, और दाई का जो शीशा चमकता था वो उसके इल्म और हिकमत की निशानी थी। जी, हर चीज में तावील है।
Okay, there was another hand up, but I think they've lowered their hand now, so I'm not sure if they're wanting to ask a question anymore.
जी,
Okay, so there is still some questions in the chat. I will ask this one. So today you had said that only we, the Mormons, have access to the light that is mentioned as being the light of the heavens and the earth, meaning this is related to the Hudud Din. But in previous talks and whys, we have been told that everything in the world, in the universe, everything in creation is worshiping Allah, the mountains, and the mountains are sitting in meditation, etc. So can you please explain that?
sure, absolutely. Okay, so does everyone who prays or do ibadat have the nur? No, right? Why do we take Isme Azam? So we may receive the nur. That shows that everyone does not have the nur. If there was the case, why would we go to Imam and ask for Isme Azam? So we ask for Isme Azam, so we may get the nur. That shows that Imam's mercy, the light, is on everyone. But then there are only few who literally completes the Isme Azam and find, by searching for the nur, finds the nur and turns that spark of the nur into full-fledged light. That right there shows, even though animal by force, not by intellect, not by logic, by force, they do what Allah had asked them to do. In that case, we can say they also follow Allah's command, but not by intellect. Now, if you understand what I just said, then animal also follow what they have been commanded, but not by intellect. If you understood that part, you will understand what I'm about to tell you. The nur has anything and everything to do with intellect. The light has more and more to do with the intellect than the body. The nur has everything to do with intellect. If nur has everything to do with intellect, then we can say only those amongst us who has more recognition of the Imam or self, they will be closer to the nur of the Imam, to the nur of the Allah, because they have recognized, they have the marifat, they have the intellect, they have the logic to understand this light, and therefore that light will shine and guide the intellect. Intellect is the only one seeking the nur of Allah. None other seek the nur of Allah. None other. Even the human without the logic and the intellect would not seek the nur of Allah. And you can see the humanity How many people do you know? Okay, may I give you a great example within our tariqah? How many people do you know who have taken the Isme Azam and practicing ibadat, seeking and searching for light? Your answer would be not very many. That shows right there that Noor is only for those who are people of the logic and intellect. G.
Okay, thank you. There are a couple more hands up now, so I will ask upon Ishamim Kaku to go ahead and unmute.
याली मदद सर
Yeah.
सर जैसे कहते हैं ना कि बाज़ औक़ात ऐसा भी होता है कि रूह एक दर्जे पे पहुंच के फिर नीचे भी गिर सकती है, यहाँ तक कि बिल्कुल लोवेस्ट लेवल तक, तो उसकी क्या रीजन है?
जी, इब्लीस बहुत अच्छी मिसाल है हमारे पास। इल्म, आज मैंने हमेशा इल्म के लिए दो दर्जात बताए हैं, एक किताब का इल्म है और एक इमाम का इल्म है। आज मैं आपको इस सवाल के जवाब में इल्म के तीन दर्जात बताता हूँ, तीन दर्जात बताता हूँ। एक किताब का इल्म है, एक इमाम के फरमान का इल्म है, और तीसरा इल्म लदुनी, इल्म बातिनी है। जिसके पास किताब का इल्म है वो तो कभी भी ऊपर चढ़ के गिर सकता है, क्योंकि वो तो किताब का इल्म है, जो उसने अपनी अक्ल से सोचा समझा। इमाम का इसके अंदर नूर, इमाम के उसके अंदर कोई हिदायत नहीं है, तो वो तो जब भी चाहे चढ़ सकता है, जब भी चाहे गिर सकता है, क्योंकि उसने अपनी अक्ल को उसके अंदर लड़ाया था। यानी कि उसने सिर्फ किताब से इल्म को समझा था, इमाम से इल्म को नहीं समझा था। अब जो इमाम से इल्म को समझता है उसके अंदर दो किस्म के लोग हैं। एक जो फरमान से इमाम के इल्म को लेते हैं और समझते हैं, उसमें इब्लीस भी शामिल था, क्योंकि वो भी इमाम का एक मुरीद ही था और वो फरमान बरदारी भी करता था, फरमान पर चलता भी था, लेकिन वो फरमान को इल्म बातिनी से नहीं समझा था, इमाम के नूर के साथ नहीं समझा था। वो फरमान को तो मानता था, लेकिन फरमान को इमाम के नूर की रोशनी में नहीं देखता था। तो आपने देखा क्या वो पता है, उसके अंदर गुरूर आ गया। मैंने अपनी आंखों से ऐसे अनफॉर्चुनेटली सैडनेस के साथ मैंने देखे हैं कि जो इमाम के फरमान को बहुत पढ़ते हैं, लेकिन उनके अंदर गुरूर भी इतना ज्यादा होता है। क्यों? कि वो क्या समझते हैं कि हमने फरमान पढ़ लिए हैं, हमने फरमान को ज़बानी याद कर लिए हैं, तो हमारे जैसा कोई भी नहीं है। उन्होंने कभी भी इल्म लदूनी के साथ, इमाम के नूर के साथ फरमान को ना तो पढ़ा और ना ही समझा। तो आपका जो सवाल था कि वो गिर पड़ते हैं, तो वो पहले या दूसरे दर्जे पर गिरते हैं। जिसके बाद इल्म लदूनी होता है वो कभी भी नहीं गिरते हैं। आप उसको कत्ल भी कर डालेंगे तो भी वो अली अल्लाह कहते जाएंगे। अगर आप उसको तकलीफ भी पहुंचाएंगे तो पीरों की तरह वो आगे आगे बढ़ते जाएंगे। कत्ल भी कर देंगे तो भी वो इमामों की तरह इमाम बरहक रहेंगे, कभी भी वो पीछे नहीं हटते, क्योंकि उनके पास इल्म लदूनी, नूर खुदाबंदी होता है, वो नहीं करते हैं कभी भी। जी।
Okay, before going to the next hand raised, I want to go back to a question, a new question that's come in the chat, but it's related to what you were saying earlier about those who are seeking the Nur of Allah, those who have intellect. Sorry, I think there's some feedback. Okay, so the question is, and what about the people of the book? Are they not searching the Nur of Allah?
No, they are not. Because, let me quote of Imam's Farman first. Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam. in one of his farman says that for the al-Zahir, the people of the book, they only have a book. As they left the Nur, the Imam, therefore, only thing they have left is the Zahir of the book. And because of the Zahir of the book, they only can think as much as their Zahiri physical mind would go. To them, Allah is absolute, nowhere, no way to be reached. Even in the heaven, Allah will be far away and you will be in the heaven. When in our tariqah, Mullah says, even the heaven is available to us today. You can be in heaven today. You can be in the didar of the Allah today, and you can be one with Allah today. Meaning, Allah is not out of our reach. Allah is near us. Allah is close to us. And look at this ayat. The example of the nur of Allah is like a lamp. So you can bring it at home. You can make another lamp with that. You see that? So al-Zahir, Allah is absolute. And you cannot ever, ever see him, talk to him, reach him. Even for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they think that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam never directly had the audience of Allah. For Musa, they think Musa never was able to reach to the nur of Allah. But for us, they were Fanafi Imam. They were one in the nur of Allah. And if you are one with the nur of Allah, what are you? What is your position when you are one with the nur of Allah? Ismaili Tariqa teaches us, matter of fact, our only goal, every Ismaili's moment, only goal is to be Fanafi Imam. That is different between the Batini Tariqa and the Zahiri Tariqa. Zahiri Tariqa, they may have the term Fanafi Murshid, Fanafi Rasul, Fanafi Allah, but they have no idea what that means, nor they know how to get there, because they don't have an Imam to guide them. They don't have a nur and the light to shade the light on their path. Ji.
Aziz sir, just as a follow-up to that question or that response, would you say that Surah 22, Ayat 8 would refer to this when it says that there are people who would dispute about Allah without knowledge, being ilm, or guidance, being hudan, and also not having an enlightened book, the Kitab al-Munir, so that in that sense that even if they have the knowledge they have in their book, it's not a fresh knowledge or a fresh guidance, and certainly not a luminous book. They might have a book, but not the luminous book. Would this verse then refer to those people who have left behind the true guidance, and that's why they're not truly searching for the Nur of Allah, even if they think they are, that in the sense that they're not, because they're only limited to what's contained in those pages of those books and their own commentaries, their own disputes.
All right, so here they show three things, right? They have a ilm, but not ilm laduni. They have a guidance, but not the current guidance. They have the book, but not the Nurani illuminating book. So you see, even those three things shows what they have, and we hope that we appreciate what we have today, inshallah. Ji.
Okay, so there is a hand raised by Zalobia. You can unmute.
Ya Ali Madad Salwai Sahib.
Ya Ali Madad.
Eid Mubarak to everyone who is listening. I should have asked this question a long time ago, but since it came up, so that's why I decided to raise my hand. What exactly is the difference between universal soul and universal intellect? And in relation to that, where does humility come into play?
So first question is really good, actually. When we are learning, okay, only when we are learning, we are told there is the knowledge of the first grade, there is the knowledge of the 10th grade, and there is a knowledge of the colleges and universities, and then there is a medical knowledge, there is a technological knowledge, and other knowledge and science and this and that. But when you say knowledge, then knowledge is a knowledge. Just like that, when we are talking about the ranks, then universal intellect is the first and the most highest, compared to universal soul, the second in the order. But when we are looking at the from down upward, what you find, the universal intellect and universal soul combinedly are called Imam Zaman. So when you say Imam Zaman, or especially when you say Wakulle Sha'in, you are talking about universal soul and universal intellect, combinedly encompassed in the Imam Zaman. So it's all depending on where you are looking from. To teach, you have to teach in that manner, step by step by step. We just talked about the 12 steps of Hudud-e-Din. Why 12 steps? And I can guarantee you that if you, and when, not if, when you will get to those levels, you will find out, oh, they are on the same Sirat al-Mustaqim, guided by the same Nur, guided by the same principle, and actually on the top, they are all one. So a school system is one. Sirat al-Mustaqim is one. But as in the school system, there are different classes, ranks. There are different Hudud-e-Din classes, ranks in Sirat al-Mustaqim too. So that was your first. Your second question has nothing to do with the humility at that level, because at that level is a pure Nur, pure Nur. Humility is more for us Garib and Nachis on the bottom, not on the top. Because on the top, they are pure Nur. So for them, how we can say that they are humble when they are the pure Nur? There is no such thing as care or shar, right? Because they are the pure Nur. So your second question did not justify your first question. G.
Okay, so I'll go back to the chat. There's a couple of questions, similar questions. If you can explain why the Imam and the Asas, namely Hazrat Ali, that they are at the level of 8 and 9, rather than being closer in rank to the Nafs-e-Kul and the Aql-e-Kul. Or in other words, why is the Imam under the Prophet in the rank of the Hudud-e-Din?
Very good question. So Imam, I'm going to start with number 8. What do we say about the Imam? And we just talked about that in other question. Imam at number 8 encompasses all the ranks within him. Even though Imam is number 8, he encompasses number 9, the Tawil, the Asas. Number 10, Natik, the speech. Number 11, the Ru, Nafs-e-Kul. And the last, number 12, intellect, universal intellect. He encompasses all. So if I ask you with this understanding, who is the highest? You will have to say Imam is the highest. Now, I'm going to tell you otherwise. Okay? There are 7 ranks. 7 ranks. We're not going to talk about 12, but it's 7. And remember, Ali, the Asas, is also the Imam Musakkar in his time. 7 ranks, out of which 3 are Batin and 3 are physical, and 1 in the center, meaning Batin and physical both, like a bridge between the Batin and the Zahir. The 3 Batin are Aql Kul, Nafs Kul, and Natik. 3 Zahir are Dai, Hujjat, and Imam. And Asas is the bridge between the 3 Batin and the 3 Zahir. Now come to your question. Why Natik has a higher rank than Ali and the Imam? Only reason you are asking this question, because you have not recognized the Imam, meaning you do not have Imam Shanasi or its understanding. If you knew Imam Shanasi, the recognition of Imam, this question will be null and voided. As there is an Imam about the Natik, which you have not considered or recognized, and therefore you think the Natik is about the Imam. I would request you, if you really want to know, learn Imam Shanasi. Ji.
Okay, just as a matter for us to know that there are some people asking about those 12 ranks. I typed it out in the chat as you were giving them, but it looks like Zoom does no longer allow people to copy in the chat. So they're asking that are these 12 ranks included in the Google Drive, because they cannot copy this. I'm sure we have in the Google Drive that we can.
I'll share right after this. When I share this slide, I will share that too.
Okay. Someone is asking, what is Imam Shanasi?
Recognition of Imam.
Is there a way for people to get Imam Shanasi? Sorry.
Yes. Khyal can help you. Kamada Sahib can help you. Some of the other on this line, if you get in touch with them, they can help you how to get to. Remember, ilm is on darjat. So if you wanted to learn the higher ilm, then you have to enroll yourself. You have to be serious enough, disciplined enough to learn. Imam himself in Golden Jubilee has said this: I wish my Jamaat would recognize, have Imam Shanasi, and that is my wish. But we didn't pay attention to the Imam Shanasi, and this has been how many years now? Golden Jubilee. So at least 15 years, I would say. We just didn't pay attention to that farman. G.
Yes, sir. Before getting to a couple more hands, I do have a question myself that I'd like to ask about your presentation when we spoke about all the different ranks and how to receive that light, which is the light of the heavens and the earth. And we understand, I think, with the system of Hudud-e-Din that you laid out, but I think we've also understood now in today's current time, while the Hudud-e-Din, of course, this is not something which can just fall apart, but you've explained how when the sun is out shining really bright, of course, we understand that the moon and the stars are still there. It's just that we might not be able to recognize them because Imam's light is so bright. So in the current context of today, how does this work still when the Imam gives his light or pure tawil, which in the past would sort of go from rank to lower rank to lower rank, from heaven to earth, heaven to earth, heaven to earth. But in today's time, when we don't have visible hudud-e-din. For example, we cannot know who is a hujjat other than, of course, the imam, who contains both rank of imam and peer. Are we to understand that we all have equal access to the imam's tawil, in the sense that everyone can just determine for themselves, or should we understand that potentially everyone can have access, as it being dies, that the imam has said, that we potentially could have access to this tawil, but that the idea of hierarchical knowledge, meaning there's always going to be teachers who have, or people who have more knowledge than others, like Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah had said, that those who have hakikati knowledge should make others, it's their responsibility to make them hakikati like themselves. But how do we understand this today? You know, someone says, where do you get tawil today? Do we just say that I have my own tawils, or do we still have to search for the true tawil?
Right. So even Mola Bapa, and we just mentioned that Farman a week last week or week before, where Mola Baba talks about that Quran is not easy, but those of you who have taken the burden, the time to learn the Quran, and once they understand that they must help the Jamaat understand this Quran or the Tawil of the Quran. Imam, I think we talked about it last week in our previous presentation and part 2. Absolutely, you're right. Because we are at the time of Qiyamah, there are no more physical hudud-e-din, but hudud-e-din and batin are always present. As Imam have said, and we all believe and understand, there are always 313 mu'mineen who runs the ilm and the tawil of the Imam for him. As the Imam is the king, he gives the amr, and the work is done by the murid, the 313 mu'mineen. So they are the hudud-e-din batin, that they help the Jamaat without any recognition, without requiring any credit, without taking any title. Those hudud-e-din will come and they will teach. They will have no title whatsoever, no seat, no recognition, and neither they would care for any praises or recognition. They will not be running after the title. So those hudud-e-din are always present. You just have to have an eye to see and find them. G.
Yeah, interestingly, there was a question earlier that said, how do we recognize, or can we recognize Arifin today and identify them? And now with your earlier answer and with this one just now, I'm again reminded of Imam Sultan Shah's Farman, who said that if you want to learn the Quran, become the student of those who know its real meaning. And then immediately after that, in the Farman, he says that you are unaware of the many books of our religion, meaning the Hudud-e-Din, from the dies of the past. And then he says that if you were to read those books, your intellect would testify that your religion is true and no defect will remain in you. Now, if we think of books, it's interesting, like he's saying to enroll today or to become students today, but then it seems like he's talking about books of the past. But I think that the obvious logical answer would be that if you're looking for people who have knowledge today, then there should also be books or literature or teaching available today. And just like those books would, if you learn those, you have no defect. Today we should find similar material, and like you just said, that it doesn't have to be with title, meaning that it's our own intellect. When we read such material, we will immediately realize that this type of teaching is utterly different from anything we've seen in the marketplace. That when we read that material, your intellect will immediately say, "This sounds beautiful to me. This sounds hakikati. This is bringing me closer to the Imam," and that is the answer that you yourself will know where's the correct direction, because internally you will be able to testify that, yes, I'm being taught correctly. So inshallah, we can continue to find those true teachings. Okay, there is a question, raised hand from Gulzar. I'll ask you to unmute, please. Sorry, yeah, you can unmute now. Or maybe not, maybe he doesn't, I don't know, maybe the hand is up accidentally. Let me try one more time. Gulzar, do you have a question?
Yali Madad, sorry. Sir, Yali Madad.
याली मदद
सर, इल्मे लदूनी का आप जो अभी समझाए ना सर, तो इल्मे लदूनी है ना, वो सिर्फ इबादत से ही मिलती या ये इलम और इबादत दोनों से मिल सकती है?
दोनों से, क्योंकि एक तरफ इल्म है, एक तरफ इबादत है। तो अगर खाली इबादत से इल्म लदूनी मिल जाता तो हमको समझ में नहीं आता, क्योंकि वो बहुत कठिन होता। लेकिन जब हमारे पास इल्म होता है और साथ में इबादत होती है तो वो इल्म लदूनी आसान हो जाता है हमारे लिए। जी,
ओके, थैंक यू सर।
અઝીઝભાઈ આજે બહુ ટાઈમ લીધો તમારો અમે
थैंक यू, नो वरीज।
બહુ ટાઈમ લીધો થેન્ક યુ સો મચ અઝીઝભાઈ મોલા
શુક્ર
તમારા ટાઈમ અને નોલેજ ની સેવા મોલા કબૂલ કરે
आमीन,
તમારી બધી મુશ્કેલ આસાન કરે તમને
આમીન.
તંદુરસ્તી આપે રોજી
આમીન.
કમાણીમાં બરકત દે ઇલ્મ
આમીન.
અને ધર્મમાં ખૂબ ખૂબ આગળ લઈ આવે ફેમિલીમાં
આમીન.
સુખ શાંતિ અને આબાદી બક્ષે
आमीन,
મોલા બધી નેક ઉમેદો પૂરી કરે અને
आमीन।
થેન્ક યુ સો મચ બહુ મજા આવી વેરી
Thank
નાઇસ
you.
થેન્ક યુ See
याली
you next week, inshallah. Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
याली मदद, याली मदद।
Yali Madad. Yali Madad Badaine. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Yali Madad. Yali
See
Madad,
you all tomorrow.
everybody.
Yeah.
Eid
Yali
Mubarak.
Madad. Eid Mubarak. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Yali Madad.
Inshallah.
Yali Madad,
Inshallah.
everyone.
Yali Madad.
Aziz bhai, Yali Madad.
Aziz bhai, he's gone. He's gone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because my muting was not opening.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, Yali
Anyway.
Madad.